1, 2, 3. Hello, Lee. You have been involved with the band since the beginning. Could you please tell us how you got the gig?
Brian Tishy and I were out with a band called Queensryche, and he was kind enough to ask me to come and do this really fun project. And of course I said yes, and so thanks Brian, here we are, years later.
Could you please explain what your job is within the technical team so the fans know exactly what you take care of?
I build Brian's drum set on a daily basis, and I put together Doug Aldrich's rig, his guitar amps, cabinets, and do all of his guitar stuff and changes, and test all of his gear daily. And I'm also the stage manager, so I am in charge of making sure everything is positioned on the stage correctly, as well as the backdrop.
What other bands did you work with before joining the Dead Daisies?
Well, I started with Seattle bands like Grunt Truck and Queensryche, and then I went on with like Bad Company, Paul Rogers Solo Band, Motorhead, Foreigner, so on, several more, but too many to list.
How many hours does it take to set everything up, break it down, and load the truck?
Our total day sometimes involves 12 to 14 hours. It takes a couple hours to put it all together, and about an hour to an hour and a half to take it apart. So, and then the rest of the day is just manipulating gear, sound check, prep, a lot of prep work, getting all the drinks, set lists, marking everything, marking the stage with tape, just lots and lots of prep work all day long, and then, you know, an hour and a half for the show. So.
Okay, so I guess that sometimes you will have to adapt to the size and shape of the venue to set everything up. It is not the same in a theatre or a festival or a big hall, so you'll have to change the layout and how all the gear is set up. That's the question.
Okay. Are you gonna say that on camera? Or?
Yeah, that's okay. Well, they're just gonna put it in. They're gonna put the questions in front of the.
So yes, every day is a challenge. I get in there and I measure out the stage, and I change the footprint daily depending on the size and shape of the stage. Some days we have all the cabinets, other days we have to strike certain cabinets. Some days I get the gong, some days I don't. Some days I get a riser, some days I don't, just depends. Sometimes we put up a big backdrop, sometimes we put up a small backdrop. Just all really depends on how large the stage is. Sometimes the depth of the stage requires us to move the drums for the other bands. Sometimes we got to keep it all set up. Festivals, a lot of times we'll have rolling risers so everything can roll in and out. Theaters are usually pretty big stages so everything can stay set. Clubs, a lot of times it's real tight and real tough for everybody, and the bands really man up and just deal with the tight spaces. It's just how it is, and everybody seems to have a good time.
What is your day-to-day work when you're on the road with the Dead Daisies?
Day-to-day work, every day seems to be like put the gear together, take the gear apart. We start with unload the trailer and suss out, get it all on the stage, try to figure out how to get it all in there. It's an all-day affair every single day, and then we tear it all apart again after the show, and basically 2 o'clock in the morning we're rolling down the highway, heading to the next venue.
A question that's a little more complex. When you travel to a different continent, such as Europe, Japan, how does the band take the gear? How does the band transport all the gear? Do you take everything with you, or does the band rent local gear?
Some of the gear comes with us, and some of the gear is rented locally depending on where we're at. Sometimes we'll get to take a group of gear with us. A lot of times we'll ship it with rocket cargo. Sometimes it flies on the jet with us. You know, we just take this certain amount of gear, certain heads, certain guitars, pedal boards, things like that. But we rent a lot of the amps locally, and the cabinets are rented locally. The drums are rented locally, so I get dozens of drum sets a year, and I have to rebuild them constantly. And when I get those drum sets like that and those kind of gears, it takes us a lot longer to assemble the show. So sometimes it's 3 or 4 hours to put the show together, and it's a lot more work for us, but it's just as satisfying in the end. The big rock show happens and everybody's happy.
So I suppose this job you must love, otherwise you will get tired of it very soon because of the tight schedule, always traveling from one city to the next.
When I was a kid, they gave me the option of you want to be a fireman or you want to be an astronaut or whatever, and I told them I wanted to be a guitar tech for Iron Maiden. So that was the 6th grade, and pretty much I've made a career out of it. I do mechanics on the side, and that's fun, but it's not near as fun. I enjoy the show. The work all day long is tough, but I really enjoy sitting on stage and watching the show.
My question is, thank you very much, Lee, for your time. We're sure the fans will love this interview.
Well, thank you too, and I love my fans, and everybody out there treats me really well, and I really appreciate being here, and I appreciate the band giving me the opportunity to enjoy such a fun band.